lot of the conversations we're having with neurologists across subspecialties regarding, how the pandemic has sort of impacted care has kind of been like what we're talking about, where, a lot of them are responding in the fact that, well, there is a little bit of a silver lining in that this has kind of given telemedicine the push, needed to finally perhaps be more widespread and implemented into daily care. I'm curious, do you foresee it having any potential positive impact on the use of and the improving of telestroke care?
I do, and I think your intro to that with the push that our COVID stuff has given us, I think that's a key entree to that, because we've known, so this abstract, it doesn't tell us anything surprising, right? It makes sense, but somebody had to prove it so that we can point to this to our administrators and to our legislators, because part of the lack of progress in that area has just been inertia. We had a system, right? And we've identified acute stroke, and fair enough, we've got that kind of figured out. But part of it's also been payment mechanisms. That there hasn't really been a way to get paid for that service. And so if there's no margin to it, no one's going to do it. So one of the key things, for example, in the COVID situation that's come out is CMS changing the rules and basically saying, all right, for now, you guys just go ahead and do this remotely, and we'll deal with the finances on the back end. So all of the conversations I'm having now with trying to get people through our brand new telemedicine clinic platform, or just phone when it doesn't work, my employer has so far said, you know what, we're not going to count this against your productivity. I don't know how long that's going to last, but we're hopeful that that this pushes us in the direction of saying, listen, there's an awful lot we can do without touching people. 90% of our work really is just data and conversation, so we should get paid more than pennies on the dollar for that. So I'm hopeful that the Corona crisis is allowing us, just like working from home, right? I was reading an article this morning that we may never go back to offices, because why were we in offices in the first place? There's nothing magical about being shut up in a room somewhere. I could do it at home, so let me. So I'm hopeful that this pushes in that direction, but payment mechanisms are going to be very, very important, because it's been hard to get reimbursed for that traditionally. And so nobody then will do it. And it's hard work, right? It's very, especially to somebody who is used to swinging a reflex hammer and thinking about strength and tone and things. It's a very disorienting experience to have to try to examine somebody and say, all right, now, pull back and lift your arms up and just hold them there. It's feasible, but it's definitely second best, but it's the reality. And I'll bet it's the reality moving forwards for months to come, if not well into next year. So I hope it's the kick in the pants that we needed. And if you kind of think even more broadly, I was having a conversation with our regional stroke people a few nights ago, and one of the hospitals in the area has started to do something really cool, which is to use telemedicine in reverse, because we can't have visitors in the hospital. So the hospitals, I don't know whether you've been in a hospital lately, but they're strange at the moment. It's a ghost town, right? So the COVID patients are cohorted separately, and that's multi-layers of security, and it's all locked down. And the rest of the hospital is quiet. We don't allow visitors. So there's the patient in the room, and we limit the amount of medical contact that they have. Their families can call, but that's it. And so we spend a fair bit of our day then on the phone with their loved ones. Okay, here's how Bob's doing today, and here's sort of what we need to talk about. So video technology for that is incredibly important. Being able to bring an iPad in the room and kind of show them Bob, and not all of the family members have the bandwidth or the technology on their end. And it's been something that's been anathema on our end, right? Because we don't want, for medical legal purposes, it to be that easy to just have people videoing inside the hospital with HIPAA and all kinds of stuff, right? So it's really making us think hard about how we go about things. And I think it's positive. HIPAA is another thing that Medicare or that CMS has said, we'll kind of turn a blind eye to HIPAA issues at the moment because there's just too much going on. So I'm hopeful that also allows us to be a little bit more creative in the future.